When was the last time you actually rested? Not scrolled. Not numbed yourself with a screen. Not collapsed into bed while your mind kept running. Real rest. Because staring at your phone for 3 hours isn't rest. Binge watching until you feel dull and heavy isn't rest. Lying in bed replaying emails and conversations isn't rest either. That's exhaustion pretending to be recovery. And most men never learn the difference. Here's the problem. We live in a culture that worships motion. Busy looks responsible. Grinding looks virtuous. And stopping looks weak. So you keep pushing, even when you're tired, even when your focus is shot, even when your patience is gone. And then you wonder why everything feels heavier than it used to. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not tired because you're doing too little or too much. You're tired because you don't know how to recover properly. Chapter 1. What most men do instead of resting. When fatigue shows up, most people reach for distraction. You scroll, you compare, you numb. You tell yourself, I'll rest once I finish this list. But that list never ends. You lie down, but you don't disconnect. You try to relax, but your nervous system never powers down. And afterward, you don't feel restored. You feel foggy, flat, irritable, because distraction drains you differently than work does. Chapter 2. What real rest actually looks like. Real rest doesn't look impressive. It doesn't produce anything you can see or touch. And that's exactly why it works. Real rest leaves you feeling clearer, calmer, more yourself again. Sometimes it's silence. 10 minutes with no input at all. No phone, no noise, just stillness. Sometimes it's movement without a goal. A walk, no tracking, no optimization. Sometimes it's doing something creative, with zero outcome attached. No productivity, no improvement, just engagement. Sometimes it's laughter, not complaining, not reliving problems, just presence. And sometimes real rest is simply saying no, without explaining yourself. Chapter 3. Why rest feels so uncomfortable. Somewhere along the line, we were taught that if it can't be measured, it doesn't matter. If it can't be monetized, it's wasted time. If it can't be shown, it doesn't count. So rest triggers guilt. It feels unearned, undeserved, dangerous. But listen carefully. You don't earn rest. You require it. You are not a machine. And even machines shut down, or they burn out. Chapter 4. How to rest like a disciplined man. This isn't about indulgence, it's about control. First, schedule rest deliberately. Put it on the calendar. Not, if I have time. Time blocked, protected. Second, defend it. No errands, no quick tasks. If it moves, it replaces something else. Not your recovery. Third, experiment intelligently. Different forms of rest restore different systems. Mental, emotional, physical. Pay attention to what actually refills you. Fourth, drop the guilt. Rest is not stealing time. It's restoring capacity. You cannot sustain output without recovery. You cannot lead from depletion. Chapter 5. The Reframe. Rest isn't what you do when everything is finished. Rest is what allows you to keep standards high, without breaking. It's not softness. It's strategy. And men who understand this don't burn out. They outlast. This channel isn't about hustle or comfort. It's about precision, restraint, and longevity. And that starts with knowing when to stop, on purpose. This is The Primed Edge. Subscribe if staying sharp after 50 means something to you. Take just a few minutes to watch this video next for a free, easy-to-follow mental reset after 50.